What's up, guys? Your boy Tate with Everyday Life. Today I'm going to teach you how to change rear brake pads on a 2013 Hyundai Tucson. Because once you put your jack on the right mounting point, jack up the car, make sure it's in park, jack it up just enough, make sure the bolts you have in there is already broken loose, and jack this car up. Alright, once you jack it up, you take the hand off, make sure it's locked to the right side, take it out. Guys, grab your T-bar. This it's equipped with a 21mm bolt pattern. It's already broken loose, so it's easier for the video. So I'm gonna go ahead and loosen it up. Alright, make sure you keep your lug nuts somewhere safe, you don't lose them. This wheel should come off. It's a little tight, kick it a little bit, it'll come off. Now just put this wheel underneath your car right in front of the jack, so if it does come down, at least you have some space to lift the jack back, the car back up. Now take two 14mm bolts out of the actual caliper, so from the housing, so you can release the caliper. Sometimes it's hard. Make sure you spray WD-40 if it's a little stiff, and let it soak in and it'll break free. Most of the time it'll just come out with ease. When this caliper does come off, make sure you don't just let the caliper dangle, and if it does, make sure it just doesn't swing hard. I mean, it can sit there for a few minutes, it's not going to hurt it so much. It's just to prevent these brake lines from breaking or kinking, and you'll have to do more of a brake fluid job after that. Now you can take a little pry bar, any kind of screwdriver, and pry this from the actual housing. This is the housing, this is actually the brake caliper. And it comes out so easy, like so. With this being said, the piston's out. We're going to have to push this piston back, two brake pads back here, so we can actually put back into the rotor housing. So we'll let it hang into this actual sway bar link area. We want to repry it with the screwdriver, comes right out. It's good to keep it near you and how it came off, so you can pair it with the old one. Typically at this point, you can see why it's being replaced, because there's no more brake pads on them besides metal to metal, which is bad for this, and you hear a lot of grinding as you stop. So you can cross-reference this with the new brake pads, which I do have here. These brake pads are actually from Amazon. Brand name is Bosch. I bought it for $21. Free shipping, Amazon Prime. You can see the new brake pads has more meat to it with the actual housing. This has no meat. It's just rubbing metal to the rotor. The way I took it out was just like this. It actually has the actual indicator here. It grinds to the rotor, so it makes noise just to indicate that you need to change it. So we're going to basically copy the same thing if that's what you're not understanding, so just copy the same brake pad, same pattern. So in other words, this will go the inside of the actual rotor, this is the outside, like so. And it goes through the grooves like that. Alright, now we're gonna actually decompress the piston. We're gonna push the piston back into the piston housing. In order to do this, you could do it with a C-clamp. You're going to push this with a C-clamp back in, or we actually have a rotor piston tool, specialty tool for this. In our case, I have a specialty tool which goes for it. This is the actual brake pad rotor piston kit. And I'll show you how this works here. Basically, you take one of these discs that actually mirrors the size of this actual piston size that we can push back with, so we just want to mirror that. So the way this works, the tool goes in like here and it locks itself, and as it positions itself, it goes to the piston, pushes out, and this actually braces it from coming back out. So it's actually pushing the piston in and it's holding it out. probably wondering why they have 2 points here. Some cars actually takes a certain key. They have actually notches here for it only, and it spins in. This one you can just push in. So if this doesn't fit, we'll just get a bigger size to push that piston in. As we tighten this, we push this out. The piston should go in at some point. As you can see, it's slowly moving back in. As you're pushing the piston back, the actual fluid is going back to the reservoir in the actual hood. And we want to push it as flat as possible so that our new brake pads have room to slide in. Right now, it's all the way through. We're going to release it, go back the other way, take this tool out. As you can see, the piston's more squared to here, and now we can slide our caliper back in the actual housing. There's springs on these housing pins, so we're going to push that back so we can actually... Before we do that, let me put some grease here. Now that we push the piston back as far as we can with the tool, we're going to slide this piston into the actual housing of the piston housing. These are spring bolts where you can push them in. They're spring active, so you can put this whole setup back. Now we take 14 millivolts back and put them back into the actual pins. We want to hand tighten it first, and then we want to use the actual wrench itself to finish the touch. As you can see, it moves freely. Let's just tighten it back up, righty-tighty. Just a big snug. Very good at that part. Now this is actually an all-wheel drive vehicle. Right now I can spin this freely because it's not fully engaged at this point to four-wheel drive. Now we put the wheel back on. Now guys, since I had the wheel off, right before I put the wheel back on, quickly examine what you may or may not need to replace again. If anything goes bad, you can actually have a good look right now. I didn't replace the rotor because I know it has a little more life to it. Normally I would replace the brake pads and rotors at the same time because the wheel's off. It's just so much easier. But I chose not to. But again, make sure you inspect anything in the wheel wall, make sure everything looks good, put the wheel back on. Guys, hand thread these in so you don't actually strip out your actual bolts. Once you're hand thread in a couple of threads, then you can actually use your tool, whatever tool you use to take these off with. I chose a T-bar, it's a lot easier for me. I don't really use impact, but this is how I would do it. You want to cross pattern this, guys, so that you got everything all even. Alright, now that everything's tightened, that is your brake job, guys. Good luck with your brake job. Rewind if you need to, pause if you need to. And that's how a brake job is done, especially with pads in the rear. Thank you so much, guys. Hey, subscribe, like, thank you.